Welcome to Omega Funk Airlines, Flight 10,000. Y'all better be ready to groove tonight.
What's up, party people? My name is Manny, and we are live from KVCR Studios in San Bernardino. This is Rhythm Lounge, where we spotlight the top musical talent from across the Inland Empire. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Benjiphonik.
Avenue, but we go party rockin' just like Cool Herc would do. Grandmaster cut and wax, flex on the through and through. It's time to take it to the street. I got that feeling like I'm falling through the floor. It's got me hungry now, I'm coming back for more. So many people that were knocking in the doors. It's time we take it to the streets. Rock block party, rock block party, rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, rock block party. Back in the burning Bronx, we got that Zulu. You got that Planet Rock. Know how Bambaataa do. You hear that primal sound? It coming after you. It's time to take it to the street. I got that feeling like I'm falling through the floor. It's got me hungry now, I'm coming back for more. So many people that were knocking in the doors. It's time to take it to the streets. Rock block party, rock block party, rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Come on! Rock block party. Rock block party. Rock block party. The West Coast brought it with that G-Funk thing. Hoopies rolling low with that G-Funk swing. Well, up in the Bay, bells were starting to ring. With Humpty, Tupac,
Hammer with King.
the rock band took it and they turned it around. They put a little metal in that hip-hop sound. And every culture since has begun to expound upon the party that was started in the Bronx.
Rock block party, rock block party, rock block party,
Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party, non-stop party. Gonna take the party out into the streets. Rock block party.
I heard there was a party here.
Rock block party. Rock block party.
rock block party.
I'm Benjiphonik, and I'm here at Valley College. This is a story about a man who's going blind, who walked with single purpose through the eddies of time. This is a story of a girl who couldn't hear, but the angels and the demons like to whisper in her ear. They followed the white rabbit and took the red pill. They did what they were supposed to, a good Jack and Jill. But they knew the reality they made wasn't real, and the madness was nipping at their heels. I feel the shiver running up and down my spine. The thought that I might not be right inside my mind.
I hear the voices calling inside my head. Demons and angels calling, voices are calling.
This is a story of how we all became slaves, canceled by the culture and tossed by the waves. The good boys and girls did exactly as they were told. They gained the world, but forfeit their soul. This is a story of a world that couldn't love, separated from their body and from the heaven above. Graceless, the wandering crowd looked for prey, but unfortunately, you were right in the way. I feel the shiver running up and down my spine. The thought that I might not be right inside my mind. I hear the voices calling inside my head. Demons and angels falling, voices are calling. I hear the voices calling inside my head. Demons and angels falling, voices are calling. I feel the shiver running up and down my spine. The thought that I might not be right inside my mind. I hear the voices calling inside my head. Demons and angels falling, voices are calling. I hear the voices calling inside my head. Demons and angels falling, voices are calling.
My name is Mariana Lapisco, and you spell that M-A-R-I-N-A.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell me about how you heard about the internship program?
Yes, of course. I heard about the internship program on social media, and then right after I decided to apply.
Okay, and can you tell me why students should join the film, TV, and media program?
Working with professionals just gives you a sense of confidence. You know, as artists, we're always self-conscious and stuff like that, but working with like-minded people always inspires you to go more and get out of your comfort zone and keep learning. Not only that, but people are super cool here. You know, we're always helping each other out. If someone doesn't know something, the other person might know it, and then we're always teaching each other. It's always a teamwork that makes the dream work,
Aw.
and it's all here.
Welcome back to Rhythm Lounge. Today we have Benjiphonik with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're super busy, but taking the time to come and share your talent and your music with us. I know you describe your music as alternative hip hop. You performed for us 2 songs, Voices and Rock Block Party. First off, what inspired Rock Block Party? You know, it really made me think of, for some reason, I really identified it and connected it to 4th of July, maybe because it matched your suit. I almost wore the same thing today, but yeah, tell me a little bit about
Yeah, we were. I didn't call you ahead of time and say, I'm wearing the orange suit.
Right, you should have.
That would have been real embarrassing. But anyway, Rock Block Party, you were talking about the 4th of July. It is inspired by the 4th of July.
No way. I was getting 4th of July vibes.
That's true. No
Yeah.
way. It's not inspired by that. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I was wanting to, but it is that kind of, cool. I wanted, a barbecue, and
Right.
particularly like in the 70s and early 80s, the whole hip hop era, the birth of hip hop, it was spawned by rock block parties, by, in New York, in the Bronx,
Right.
in parks, in rec rooms, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to write a song, and the song talks about what we call the holy trinity of hip hop, which is
Gotcha.
DJ Kool Herc, it's Africa Bambaataa,
Okay.
and it's Grandmaster Flash.
Right.
And so these 3 DJs basically create hip hop, and they're the ones who birthed it. And so I wanted to kind of give this nod to them and just create this energetic tune
Right.
that was talking about, them.
Gotcha. So what would you say typically just inspires your music in general? I know you've been making music for upwards of near 30 years, 28 years to be exact, you said.
I got old.
We ain't aging you. Yeah. But what's inspired you to get into music in the first place?
Definitely, music was always, I mean, and this is probably true for so many of us, but music, as we're in our teens, as we're going into our 20s, music kind of defines us. And a lot of people connect to songs in different ways. And I got a guitar when I was in high school, started playing. I got a bass guitar. I started learning, and I just had this love for music. And I thought, people really are going to want to hear what I have to say.
Right.
Whether that's true or not, I went for it. And so I started learning and taking lessons and then playing in different bands. And so over the years, I've played in 3 different groups that have kind of shaped and molded my experience. But come the mid 2000 teens, I started a shift, and that was Benjiphonik. I had done rock music, I'd done alternative music, I've dabbled with country, I've done all these different things, but hip hop was always this thing that I loved, and it's what I grew up with in the golden era of hip hop in the 80s and early 90s. And so that's where I wanted to focus my efforts right now.
Gotcha. So what would you say is the most difficult instrument to play? Because you said you picked up a few instruments in your teens.
Yeah, the sitar, when you're playing the sitar and I've never played a sitar. But I think for me, violin. So I got a violin.
Gotcha. Okay.
I did a song with a band called Conspiracy of Thought, and they had we had a great DJ named Ivan Miller. He came in and did some work for us on that song, and he brought in strings. Yeah. For the video, I learned how to play the string parts on violin so that I could actually play with a quartet that we put together.
Violin looks serious. People are always look like they have their game face on.
Yeah, right. Well, and you got to kind of guess where the note is.
Right.
It's difficult.
Sheesh. Well, I was going to ask too, because, we mentioned that you've been, in the music game business for a very long time. Right. But, nowadays, a lot of artists are able to throw out music on social media and get noticed on YouTube amongst a lot of other platforms, a lot of other music streaming platforms and whatnot, and really just push that content out there digitally. How did people do it in the earlier years or in the 90s?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I first started recording, we would do maybe a demo, like in a rehearsal room, and we'd have maybe a 4 or an 8-track recorder, and it would go to a tape cassette, and then when we first started, like I think my first full album was in 1996, and I got and so we had 2-inch reel-to-reel tape. It was a 32-channel mixing board with 2-inch tape, so it was these huge rolls of tape. And so we went from that to digital audio recording, DAT recording, which was a small cassette, and it had less tracks, actually. Yeah. And so they would have multiple DAT players to make bigger tracks. And then it went from that to digital, which is where we are now, except that even then, like MP3s were new, even when digital recording started. Right. And now it's like, well, I have a home studio. I use, the tools like GarageBand or Logic or things like that, which are home tools that you can use. Professionals use them as well. Right. But it's incredible. I mean, I've seen just this huge difference.
Right. So how would people market their music in the 90s typically?
That's a great question.
For local
too.
artists,
literally, we would go show to show. So we would hear buddies' bands playing, and we would say, "Let's go to their show. We'll hand out flyers." And so we would make up a bunch of cheap guerrilla flyers. Right. Then in the late 90s, we started burning CDs ourselves, and so we would have like 1 or 2 songs that we give to people. And so just like we would do an MP3 now. Yeah. So you'd give a SoundCloud link now or Spotify or something like that. Well, Spotify was that bag full of CDs, and I'd be, "Hey man, do you want my song?" And they'd be like, "No, I don't know you. You look weird." Right. And so that's how it was. And,
wow. Okay. Gotcha, man. That's super interesting. I was gonna mention, so you've done a lot of live shows, live performances.
A couple.
What's some places that you've performed around the Inland Empire?
Oh man. So a lot. I played. Places that are here now, like great coffee shops like Back to the Grind in downtown Riverside, Lake Alice, also in Riverside, places like that. There used to be a place here in San Bernardino called the Rock Ranch that I played in, for years. And of course, I performed at places like the Whiskey A Go Go or the Roxy or
Gotcha.
places like that in Los Angeles.
Roxy's historic right there.
I know,
that's
totally,
pretty awesome.
man.
Yeah.
Those are the goats, man. They're the
Right.
greatest of all time.
What would you say is something that you would want to, or a location where you would want to play around the Inland Empire? What's a place that you've been like really aiming to get into or excited to play at?
That's a great question. I think my next step is going to actually be focusing on colleges, nooners,
Okay.
because now that COVID is morphing, it's not gone away, but it's morphing, and so we want to morph with it. And
Yeah.
so as places like UCR, Cal State San Bernardino, even Valley College, which I performed here as well.
Right.
Doing nooners or things like that, on campus,
Yeah.
because I would love to just connect with more people
Yeah.
and do shows that will, be entertaining for people.
That's definitely it was very entertaining, the performance. I think I can understand and see how it connects to college age students. A little bit very entertaining but kind of angsty at the same time.
a little bit,
What's been the
yeah.
reception typically from college age students with your music?
It's good. The funny thing is, because I tend to span a lot of decades, and even with the show here today, the two songs, one was The Voices is a much more, kind of classic hip hop, but there's like this kind of classical type chorus going
Right.
on. The first song, Rock Block Party, maybe more 90s focused. And then Omega Funk 10,000 is like it's a nod to like Parliament Funkadelic
Yeah.
or something like that. So
Right.
from the 70s and stuff like that. And
Gotcha.
so you were asking about how college students or how people are connecting to the music. When the music's fun and when you aren't afraid to make fun of yourself, and especially when you're an old dude like me, if you're willing to, get out there and just
Yeah.
do your thing, I think people respect it. They like
Gotcha.
it, and also connecting with people is just about listening.
Yeah.
And so if you listen to them, they're going to listen to you.
Gotcha. It's all about that human connection right there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I was going to mention, so you're from Riverside.
Yes.
And did you grow up in this area in the Inland Empire?
I grew up in Lake Arrowhead.
Gotcha.
And so,
Okay.
Rim High School.
Shout out to Rim High School.
And so I grew up there. I was born, though, in Laguna.
Okay.
So Laguna Niguel, that area.
Yeah.
I lived there till I was 7. Then up in the mountains, that's where I grew up. And then I went down to Riverside for college. And I
Yeah.
actually took classes here at Valley College.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then Cal Baptist, RCC. I did all
I'm a
kinds of
Cal
stuff.
Baptist alumni as well.
So I did all of that until I almost got a degree. And then I got into a band that started touring and going around, and I stopped.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And then I went back to school again to finish out a degree in the mid to late 2000s.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what'd you end up getting your degree in?
Well, this is the deal. I had taken classes and I had all these different majors over the years. And so finally I went to a guidance counselor and said, let's shake the tree and see what falls out.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, you have a humanities degree. And I said, sign it. I'll do it. So I
That
have a
is
degree in
funny.
humanities.
That's hilarious. That always makes me think. That makes me think of my little brother who went to school for 4 years.
Yeah.
Valley College actually, and he
Oh,
ended
okay.
up getting 3 associate's
Yeah,
degrees.
right.
And I'm like, I'm gonna call the school to make sure you graduated.
Yeah, right.
But,
Is this real? I
But
don't
yeah,
think it's
so
real.
something while I've been talking to you, I myself am in my early 30s, and so was wondering, because when I was growing up, cassettes was the thing, and then
Right.
it became was it a Walkman or whatnot?
right.
And so, what was it when you were growing up as a child? Was it more?
good
Was it cassettes as well?
So when I was maybe, at the end of the 70s and into the 80s, records were the thing.
Records,
and so,
gotcha.
I mean, we're talking about wax. And
Yeah.
so I would listen to, the Lord of the Rings or whatever. And
Right.
Oh, Frodo! And, I'd
Yeah.
have the gigantic headphones. you
Right,
know?
right.
And so it was records. And my dad had a huge record collection from the 60s and even into the 50s. So he had original Beatles, original Rolling Stones,
Right.
original
Wow.
Jimi Hendrix, all these. And
Yeah.
so that was my first introduction into music. And
Right.
so it went from records to cassettes. In fact, I have a new song that's out
Right.
called I Got Old.
Okay.
And the very first line is, you ever dub tape to tape, cassette to cassette? Then you're the old school, because
Most people cannot relate to that.
yeah,
so.
right. That's right.
It's crazy. I remember when a song that you really liked hit the radio, you would literally run to your
Right.
radio to hit record over a tape.
Yeah,
And
right.
sometimes you would even be able to record it. You would be able to record it over a song that was already on the tape,
Right,
right?
of course.
Record over. I just remember that. That was a struggle. A lot of people do not understand the struggle of
It's real. The struggle
Yeah.
was real, people.
nowadays you just go to the music platform, hit download, or you don't
Right.
even have to download, just play it basically.
Right.
So
And actually, and that's a bummer for the wonderful thing about streaming is that you can get your stuff to anyone all over the globe. The
Right.
bummer about it is that because there's not that tangible product, it's a lot harder for musicians to make a living these
Yeah.
days. And so the streaming platforms are absolutely wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
but the loss of even selling MP3s. And
Yeah.
I went through from selling, like you were talking about, demo tapes,
Right.
which was a cassette tape, to CDs,
Right.
and then to MP3s, and now it's streaming. And the funny thing
Yeah.
is it's like each was less money.
Right.
Less,
Right.
less.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
what's crazy about that too, though, is even a lot of mainstream artists that we know and see and
yeah.
hear that are very popular, a lot of times if they take like a 3-4 year break, they come back and they're like, I don't even know how to release music
Right.
now because it's always evolving,
TikTok.
always changing. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I actually came across a social media post from an artist, Mike Posner. A lot of
Yeah.
people know him, a couple big songs or whatnot, but he was saying he doesn't know how to release music these days. And it's not
Right.
been that long since he's last released like a hit
No.
song. So it's crazy just how music is ever evolving, always shifting. Everything's always
Absolutely. Yeah.
optimizing. So what's some advice that you would give to any new artist or aspiring artist out there in terms of, just getting out there and pushing their music out and doing what they're passionate about?
I would say, first of all, music, like any art form, is a craft. And so you're honing that craft. You're trying to get better and better as you
Right.
do more and more of it. And I would say, take chances,
Yeah.
experiment, do stuff
Right.
that's a little out of the box. Be willing to try and, just record the music. A lot of people are even afraid to record. And
Right,
so,
yeah.
or they make a recording and they don't want to put it out. But when you put a song out and you get feedback, it helps you to understand, oh, okay, well, this didn't work. Oh, this did work. People really
Yeah.
like this. And so that experimentation is what makes art exciting, for one thing,
Yeah.
but also makes you better. And for me, now I've been scoring movies and I've done theme songs for some television stuff and different things. Getting a challenge, and sometimes people will say, I want it to be country. And
Wow.
I'm like, well, that's not my bag. But I always say, yeah, of course I can do that.
Right.
And so I get a slide for my guitar and I start figuring it out. And before you know it, I have a song. And so being willing to step outside of yourself, outside of genre, take some chances, that's the best thing you can do.
Right. Gotcha. That is
Yeah.
some great advice.
My name is Mariana Lapisco, and you spell that Marina.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell me about how you heard about the internship program?
Yes, of course. I heard about the internship program on social media, and then right after I decided to apply.
Okay, and can you tell me why students should join the film, TV, and media program?
Working with professionals just gives you a sense of confidence. As artists, we're always self-conscious and stuff like that, but working with like-minded people always inspires you to go more and get out of your comfort zone and keep learning. Not only that, but people are super cool here. We're always helping each other out. If someone doesn't know something, the other person might know it, and then we're always teaching each other. It's always a teamwork that makes the dream work,
Aw.
and it's all here.
Well, Benji, thank you so much for joining us today here in KVCR Studios in San Bernardino on Rhythm Lounge. Viewers, you guys are in for one more treat. He's going to take it away with one last song.
Omega Funk 10,000.
Welcome to Omega Funk Airlines, Flight 10,000. Y'all better be ready to groove tonight as we get down on this funky flight.
We got the power, 10,000 megatons. Like a candle in the night, shining bright. Yo, baby, this is gonna be fun. We got those savage grooves that'll make you holler, please. I fucking think that we're doing it right. Take it till in the back of your knees.
Say what?
10,000 worldwide. all around the world. For all the boys and girls, the Omega Funk 10,000's leaving the station.